catecholamines are basically like your fight or flight neurotransmitters like epinephrine, which adrenaline, or dopamine in the brain. And when you have this gene mutation, your body can't get rid of these catecholamines on time. So think about it like this. If you get, do the whole tiger analogy, a tiger jumps out in front of you, your fight or flight, your body's releasing epinephrine, all the blood is going away from your organs into your extremities, and you're just trying to get the hell out of there. When you have this gene mutation, which 44% of people do, normal people, after about 5 or 10 minutes, they'll be relaxed again. This stays in your brain and it stays for a while. It's very hard to break down this. So you don't need a presence of fear. So a lot of people, we look at studies all around now, like most people have are anti-anxiety medication. They're having all these issues because you don't need a presence of fear to feel fear. And this is basically what classic anxiety is.
Oh, Junk, we're recording. Yay! Bless up, everybody. It's more than black or white. Your hosts, Paul and Brian. This time, you know what? Zoom, we love Zoom and everything. We love the Zoom. And we're here in StreamYard, as you can see by the logo. So we're testing this out, seeing how it rocks. See how you can see our pretty faces. I even shaved for you guys today.
You're looking extra good today, buddy.
Yeah, man, looking shiny.
Man.
Yeah, buddy, buds. Yeah, you like that. Mm-hmm. So, everyone, what is going on? Thank you for joining the podcast. If this is the first time that you're joining us, welcome. If you're a repeating joiner, then welcome back. Thank you for the feedback. Thank you for the comments. Thank you for the viewing. We got Brian. You saw the numbers, didn't you?
Yeah, we got a little growth this week. I appreciate you all. We got a couple shares out there. A lot of people are sharing. I appreciate you all, getting the message out there. We have a few new subscribers. That always motivates us to do better.
I love it.
So keep them coming.
It is a beautiful thing, man. It, like Brian said, it keeps us on our game. And this episode that we have for you today is no different. Before we get into it, I think it's important, especially for this episode, to make the disclaimer that while Brian and I have had our experiences and we do our research and we look into these things that we're going to talk about, we are not medical professionals. So if you feel more comfortable going to see your medical professional, then by all means do so. And our intention with this podcast is to provide you with tools so you are the controller of your health ship. Right, Brian?
Man, that was good. You're really trying not to get a suit, are you?
I'm doing the best that I can, man, because, man, look, I got 2 nipples I'm running together over here, man. I got children. You got children now, too. All right, so listen, so this is important because, and again, disclaimer, Brian and I, we have these planning sessions about stuff that we're going to cover. So today's session is blood tests. It's supposed to be about blood tests. Now, here's a good thing about what we're doing and with our intention to make sure that we provide you with the best information and stuff that's relevant. As Brian was researching this, he recognized there's a lot of data here. So it's best that we just trim this down to 3 important tests and mutations. Yes, I said mutations. So once you, even if it's for this episode, think of yourself like an X-Man or some shit, you're superhuman. But in this case, we want to share these because these mutations, these things that you can find in these tests, may be causing some things that you may have been taking medication for a while. All right, so tell me, man. First of all, how often? Let's go to this. I know for me, I'm going to start with the very basic. I know for me, I get blood tests a couple times a year. How often should people be getting blood tests?
It depends on it all depends. I mean, at least once a year, you should probably get blood tests done. Once every 2 years, if you're in really good shape or you're young. If it's for example, if you want to get your testosterone done, maybe you do that every 3 to 6 months to make sure you're having enough testosterone in your body. Well, and yeah, I mean, I would stick to that. I would stick to that. And then there's other kind of tests you can do too, which is kind of like a little side note. You can do like mineral analysis tests, like with a hair analysis test, is kind of see your vitamin levels. What we're going to be talking about today, you can do like a gene mutation test. That's a good blood test to kind of take, because a lot of people have these mutations, they don't even know about it, and never really shows up, or the doctor never brings it up. So you can be like Paul, like you were saying, you can be taking drugs for something that could be as simple as a couple natural vitamins that can clear everything up.
So I'm curious, man, because I go get my blood test. So what are the blood tests that are traditionally done, and what do they cover?
Yeah, I mean, like most blood tests that are traditionally done are like, they look at your cholesterol, which, don't get me started on that. I mean, we have a couple episodes for that.
Don't you do it?
I know. So like blood pressure, I mean, they'll check out your blood pressure. They'll check out your cholesterol. They'll check out, your LDLs, your HDLs, your total cholesterol, your vitamin levels a little bit, like your vitamin D levels. I really don't go with a doctor, to be completely transparent, unless like I'm feeling something sick, which I rarely. I think maybe once in the last like 15 years I went to the doctor. I just don't. I probably should go more as far as precaution, but it's not a big fan. Like we've had this conversation in the past, but when you do go, those are the type of things that will pop up on there.
Okay, so when a person's getting a blood test, I'm hearing like there's certain, like the traditional, like about things about the heart, about your cholesterol, good cholesterol, bad cholesterol, so and such.
Yeah, blood sugar. I forgot blood sugar. They'll look at your blood sugar analysis. It's going to see where your blood sugar results are, because that's pretty prevalent in today's society. With most people are close to pre-diabetic or type 2 diabetic. They'll look at that as well.
So with what we're talking about today, with these, well, what are the three that you're like, man, Paul, like let's dive into these for the session.
Yeah. So you got the three ones I want to kind of talk about, and these you're gonna find a lot of common ground with these. Is one called the MTHFR gene mutation, another one's the MTR gene mutation, the other one's is COMT gene mutation. Okay. So, I mean, you want me to just dive right into it?
No. Well, first thing. So, what would have a gene mutate, first of all?
Yeah. So a mutation would cause so basically you have something called methylation.
Okay.
And methylation is a process that occurs over 300 billion times a day in your body. And in my opinion, and other research out there that I've been studying, it's probably one of the most overlooked things in all of modern medicine. So many people out there listening to this now are chalking up all their ailments to either aging, environment, your significant other, your career, your kids, your sleep, your, whatever it is. But for some of us, it could just be as simple as we're missing a couple nutrients in our body. And you're only one or two, like I said, simple nutrients away from actually being at the most optimal level for yourself. So I really believe that a good 85, 90% of us are walking around only feeling about 50% of what you should be feeling as far as true health and feeling of being optimal. So like a lot of things out there like ADD, ADHD, bipolar, manic depression, OCD, poor concentration, gut health, irritability, it has to do with a lack of methylation or a gene mutation that doesn't allow us to methylate properly. So what is methylation? So like analogy that I use is it's probably the simplest analogy is pretend like, so for example, it's basically taking a raw material, putting it in our body, and that raw material gets converted into what our body can actually use. So the analogy that I was giving you in pregame is thinking about crude oil. You dig up crude oil, but what happens if you put crude oil in your car? It's not going to run. It's not going to do anything. You have to turn that crude oil into gasoline. That process is methylation. So just because you take vitamins or you're eating clean food doesn't mean you're having the right conversion to methylate over into a substance that your body can use. And a lot of people, they have these gene mutations that don't allow that. Then they go through life being like, oh, I'm eating good, I'm living a good lifestyle, but I can't make this, you're not making this conversion, and they're wondering why. They go to their doctor and the doctor puts them on, like Ritalin for ADD or ADHD, or they whatever the next drug is that the pharmaceutical companies are trying to push on them. Does that make sense a little bit?
Wait, no. No, I want to check in on something, man. So basically, what I'm hearing is the methylation is like a converter. So how does
Yeah, think of it like it's like a refining process. It's like a refining process. Or it could be like a converter. Yeah, you're basically breaking. Yeah, turning it raw material into something that your body can use.
So is this a good? I'm assuming that this is a good thing that's happening. Okay, got it. So
yeah, because like when you take a vitamin, your body doesn't use it in that form. It gets converted into another form that the body can actually use it. So just like gasoline at one point was crude oil, your car can't use crude oil. It has to be converted into gasoline so your body can use it. Or, I'm sorry, your car can use it.
Right. So how does the methylation contribute to the gene mutation?
So think of it as, so the way our body works is like genes and our genetics affect the process of methylation. Okay.
Yeah.
So remember, like methylation is taking a raw material, entering the body and converting it into a form that we can use. And if you can't make this conversion, you start having a deficiency, which leads to an ailment. Then we go to and get it diagnosed for a condition that we don't have and get treated by a drug that we don't need, which causes a plethora of other issues down the road. Does that make sense?
It makes better sense. It makes better sense. I think for me, I think I'm looking at, like when we look at the mutation, I think I'm seeing that as a bad thing. When what I'm hearing you say is it's not necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah, you can't convert. So think of like genes. So think of genes and enzymes, right? So genes are like the blueprints.
Okay.
And enzymes kind of carry out the plan. So pretend we're building a house and I have a blueprint in front of you. I have the genes in front of you. Everything looks perfect. Now, all you got to do is have the enzymes do the work. But now what happens if you hire a bunch of drunk people to build this house? You can have the best blueprints in the world. You can have the best genes. But if they can't perform what's on a map, that's like almost like a mutation.
Okay, got it. So the mutation. Yeah. So it does make sense. So basically, like the cell is deficient in something, so that's when it mutates. Yeah. And basically, the methylation is not really able to get it the nutrients that it needs to prevent the mutation.
Yes, the enzymes are not doing the job which the blueprint is giving them.
Aha! Got it.
Light bulbs going off now, right?
Not as slow as my teachers used to say, man. So I'm getting
man, you made me work hard for that one, man.
I did. I saw you sweating, bro. I was like, oh shit.
It's getting hot in here, man.
God damn, bro. I was like, yo, man, I was about to be like, yo, B, take a sip of water. Yeah. All right, so look, thank you for that, because I think it's important. I want to make sure. I mean, I'm for selfish reasons, because like I'm interested, especially in the MTR mutation as you talked about. So B, let's take them down the road, man. There's three that you said: the MTHFR, MTRR, and the COMT. Let's dive into the MTRR. Tell me, what is the mutation? What's the gene mutation here, and what's the impact that it has on the human body, bro?
Yeah, let's start with the MTHFR one. That's probably the most popular one. So there's a gene called the MTHFR. It stands for methyl tetrahydrofolate reductase. Okay, it's basically a fancy. Exactly. It's a fancy way to say that this gene impairs the ability for the human body to convert folic acid into its usable form called methylfolate. Okay. So remember, a gene doesn't perform the function, but it codes for the enzyme in the body to perform its functions. Okay. It's one
Hmm.
of the highest gene mutations in the world, where actually 44% of people actually have this MTHFR gene mutation. That's a lot of people. I mean, you think about it, there's 8 billion people on this planet. So you're talking probably 3.5, if my math is somewhat around there, 3.5 billion people had this gene mutation. Okay. So again, it's a gene that takes folic acid and converts it into the form your body can use called methylfolate. If you have a gene mutation here, your body has a hard time reducing folic acid in the body into methylfolate. Okay, so why is this important if you have a folate deficiency?
Hmm.
So you have something called non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, which is
Hmm.
basically a buildup of extra fat in the liver cells that is not caused by alcohol. It
Hmm.
can cause liver to swell, scar, which is also known as cirrhosis, and eventually cancer or liver failure. And this happens about 10 to 20% of people have this non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. It's a lot of people. Another thing it does is it can't break down neurotransmitters such as catecholamines. So catecholamines are basically like your fight or flight neurotransmitters like epinephrine, which adrenaline or dopamine in the brain. And when you have this gene mutation, your body can't get rid of these catecholamines on time. So think about it like this: if you get, do the whole tiger analogy, a tiger jumps out in front of you, your fight or flight, your body's releasing epinephrine, all the blood is going away from your organs into your extremities, and you're just trying to get the hell out of there. When you have this gene mutation, which 44% of people do, normal people, after about 5 or 10 minutes, they'll be relaxed again. This stays in your brain and it stays for a while. It's very hard to break down this. So you don't need a presence of fear. So a lot of people, like, we look at the studies all around now, like most people have are like anti-anxiety medication. They have all these like issues because you don't need a presence of fear to feel fear. And this is basically what classic anxiety is. Make sense a little bit? So,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. So basically, in a
Let's
nutshell, your body
check
can't
in.
break down fight or
Um,
flight neurotransmitters as easily as a normal person that doesn't have this gene.
so I just okay. So I'm getting that part. I think where my
Mhm.
brain is going is what does that look like in everyday life? So is it like
So, like,
if I'm in a
you ever
stressful
meet somebody?
situation?
Yeah,
Huh?
you ever meet somebody like, for example, like, or hear people like they just start having a panic attack for no reason,
Yes.
or
Yeah.
like they don't necessarily need to step in an elevator to feel claustrophobic to get anxiety. Like they don't know why they feel it.
Yeah.
They this can be part of the gene mutation. It actually has a lot of so other gene mutations that we'll talk about later can trigger this too. And again, it can be as simple as taking a couple of vitamins to clear all this stuff out. It's not like you
Right.
need like crazy surgeries or any like wild prescription medication drugs. That's why I love this topic, because a lot of people, they have these issues that can just be literally, I don't, like, again, we're not doctors, but from all the research I'm reading about, just a couple of B vitamins, which will go more into specifics and kind of go down that route.
Okay. Um, yeah, this is interesting. So if there's a deficiency in that, then
Mhm.
uh, huh.
So while you're kind of pondering on that,
Yeah. Yeah.
so we need to realize too. So with this gene mutation, we can't take folic acid and break it down. So this might not sound like a big deal until you realize that folic acid is one of the most widespread nutrients in the human diet. All grains, white rice, flour breads, pastas, cereals are sprayed with this chemical folic acid. And actually, folic acid is actually a Monsanto. And Monsanto, as we know, with the whole glyphosate thing, and they're just like, it's just horrible. So or Monsanto started spraying this folic acid on our crops back in 1998. So now all these people are having a lot more issues since then. So folic
Okay.
acid, and like, again, it's not a natural vitamin. It doesn't occur anywhere in nature. You literally make it in a lab. And we don't call it spraying with folic acid. So if you read the back of the boxes, like cereal boxes or anything like that, we call it fortified or enriched. I'm sure we've all seen this before.
Okay.
So so anything that says fortified or enriched, it's a chemically lab made ingredient. It's like it's not even food. It's folic acid. Basically, that's what it is. Their body can't recognize. Their body doesn't use it. And for 60% of the population, it's not that big of a deal. According to like studies, I would say it is because you're putting a synthetic form in your body. But for 60% of the population that doesn't have this MTHFR gene mutation, it's not going to be as, what's the word I'm looking, as bad, I guess. So they take it in large amount of folic acid because when people take it in large amounts of folic acid in their diet, and they now have an overabundance of this nutrient that their body can't metabolize, they have a deficiency in what their body needs, which is methylfolate. And methylfolate in the science form is called 5-MTHF. So if you have a deficiency in one nutrient, but excess in another nutrient, this causes symptoms. And I want to go down a little bit with this anxiety thing. So a lot of people are like, oh, I have anxiety, but like, I'm not sure if it is. So one of the most common symptoms of this type of anxiety is basically 3 characteristics. So if you're a person that have had anxiety your whole life, and you find it hard to find like the specific trigger that causes it, like, again, you don't need to be like jumping in an elevator and all of a sudden feel claustrophobic to have this like onset of this trigger. If you've tried anti-anxiety medications and they don't work, but just make you feel like a zombie, if this sounds like you most likely have an MTHFR gene mutation. It might be worth testing for. Or the supplementations you can take for this is something as a B complex vitamin or a B12 in its methylated form, or methylfolate. There's a little bit more, but let me know if you need to, we need to break it down a little bit more.
I'm like, yeah, I think, so the thing that I want to just get clear is like folic acid and folate help the body make healthy new red blood cells.
So folic acid,
yeah,
if it gets converted into folate, will do that. But folic acid with this gene mutation will not do this.
Okay, so that's where I'm going. So so if there's a mutation, then basically the body's not making healthy new red blood cells.
Yes.
Which creates a deficiency in pretty much a bunch of other things. Like even the processing of how our brain functions and how we process things. All that stuff takes a big old breakdown.
Yeah. So if you're one of those 44% of people that have this gene mutation, you can't break down folic acid, taking something called methylfolate in its natural form, that your usable form that our body can use, is the way to go.
So that makes sense, because it's the methylation that helps to break things down, so an organism gets what it needs.
You got it.
So if you have methylfolate, that means it's going to help the folic acid convert into something that the body's going to be able to use.
Yes.
And I get a freaking medal, please.
It's on the way, my man.
Come on, man. Come on.
Yeah.
You can thank me in the comments and then hit the subscribe button. So
yeah,
okay.
I wanted to touch upon one more thing for this MTHFR gene. So this I want to really be specific more towards. I want the parents to hear this. So like in the morning, if it feels like a full contact sport, getting your kid ready for school or getting them on the bus or in the car, and then once you drive them off to school, and they get a call from their teacher saying like, hey, like Junior over here is acting up or he's not paying attention. A lot of the times these teachers, I mean, that's part of what they should be doing, or part of what they're told to do is, hey, let's have a behavioral evaluation. From there, we'll see if we, throw your kid on Ritalin to kind of solve this. So again, remember 44% of these people have mutations, and probably your child could have this. So if you think about the SAD diet, our standard American diet, and what we feed our children before they head off to school, and your child has a gene mutation, you feed him this kind of breakfast that has folic acid in it, like Pop-Tarts white bagels, cereals, breads of all kinds. And all of a sudden their behavior shifts, and these kids go ape shit after 15 to 20 minutes. I would challenge you to have experiment with trying to get folic acid out of their bodies for at least 3 to 4 days and see if that makes a difference.
How would
If
they
it
do
makes
that?
a difference, may get rid of get rid of all those
Oh,
breakfasts.
so
I've
all
been
that
saying,
stuff
yeah,
is like so were they having
yeah.
like water? They having like are they having like
You're making eggs for them.
eggs?
Maybe yeah, you're eating real food. Nothing
Yes,
that comes in a
eggs. So
box.
eggs. So basically
Yeah,
eggs. Yep. You
yeah.
can have
Or
eggs and
wait, it
some
wasn't
veggies.
around 100 years ago. Don't feed it to your kid.
Yeah. Okay. Got
Or
you.
just, or if you're gonna have all this stuff, make sure it's like more organic. It doesn't have folic acid on it, which is, again, it's a synthetic form.
Mm,
Start reading labels a little bit more.
okay.
Experiment with that for about 3 to 4 days. Just try to clear all that out. I
Mm,
mean, I understand parents are in a rush in the morning sometimes, and it might be you don't have time to really cook. Wake up early. I don't know what to tell you.
yeah. Or
Take
shoot,
care, take care of your,
if that kid's over 10, 11 years old and they know how to
yeah,
work the stove, man, give them some egg. Teach them crack the egg, man. Make their own damn breakfast.
yeah,
Come
yep,
on, man. Come on now. They can rock a computer, man. They can make some damn scrambled eggs, even sunny side up. Pack, whap, leave that junk
yep,
there, man.
yeah.
Flip
Hey,
that.
listen,
Flip
most kids won't want to do that. Most kids want something that's colorful, box they can look at, and like quick sugar, and be aware of the temper tantrum they're gonna probably have for the first couple of days. But
Yo, bro, that's that conditioning, man. Now that you get like
oh yeah,
cats CEOs saying that people could eat cereal for breakfast, now you really
mhm.
gonna see the campaigns coming hard, son. People gonna be
Yeah,
dreaming Tony the Tiger, man. Toucan Sam, all that
yep,
junk, man. Freaking in your sleep, man. It's gonna be streamed on YouTube. Anyway, Brian, thank
hmm
you. All right, so
yep,
B, anything else? Because that folate or that MTHFR, that's some
hmm
serious business, man. Like, and I agree with what you said. It may not seem like much, yet at the same time, it does have a major impact on the body, man.
yeah.
Um,
It's nearly impacting almost half our population, and a
that's
lot of people
crazy, bro.
don't understand why they feel the way they do. They're like, I sit down with people all the time, like I'm doing everything right. I don't know why I had these thoughts, or I have, it might not be this. I mean, but it's something to look off, something to check off a box, and it's
Mhm.
much better than going to your doctor and have him, put your child on Ritalin or, Adderall, or you taking some kind of like, antidepressant,
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
it's better to kind of like experiment with yourself. I mean, the test itself, I mean, you spend a couple $100 on it, or you can just start throwing these supplements that I mentioned in here
Mhm.
and do a little food elimination diet. Get rid of some folic acid and see how you feel.
Mhm. Mhm. Good call, bro. Good call. So we got two more. MTHR or MTRR.
Yeah,
What?
so MTR
What?
and
This is
MTR.
the blood
Go ahead.
pressure one, maybe. This is the blood pressure one.
Yeah, yeah. This is one of the things. Yeah, is blood pressure. Yep.
Mhm.
So MTR is a gene used to break down something called homocysteine, which is an amino acid in everyone's blood. Okay, we need it. And when we're not metabolizing this through a process through methylation, which I explained, and we're not converting it into methionine. Sorry. So basically, we need homocysteine to transfer or get methylated into methionine. Okay.
Mhm.
If that doesn't happen, you're going to have a deficiency in methionine, which is the starting block for almost every amino acid in your body. So those who don't know what amino acids are, it's like the building blocks for all your proteins in your body. It's huge for antioxidant role, protecting yourself against free radicals. It's it's so important for stabilizing the structures of all the proteins in your body, metabolism, digestion, and the immune system. So
What?
one thing,
Hold on, wait a second. So this affects like the major functions of the body then.
100%, yes, yes, yeah, yep. It's not just blood. It's not just blood pressure. It's everything. It's everything. This is a powerful. amino acid in your body. And methionine is basically
And
is
that's
like
the
the
hormone called
body.
methionine. Methionine is the amino acid you're talking about.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, got you.
Mhm.
Again, it's got the methionine. This method. It's got the method, like the methionine, the methylation.
Methionine.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So,
Yeah.
but I'm saying it's got that methylation. So it's still
Yeah.
got that process of getting the gene or getting that entity what it needs to survive and thrive. Right.
Yes. That's
Okay.
yes. So we're trying to clear out when you have this gene, you can't clear out homocysteine, which you can't create methionine with. So when this happens, so one of the reasons I wanted to bring this up because about 90% of us have something called idiopathic high blood pressure. And basically what that means is we have no idea why we have high blood pressure. Doctors have no idea why we have high blood pressure. It just happens. They're like, oh, it's one of those things. So when homocysteine rises and again, it becomes one of the most inflammatory compounds in our body as it starts to rise. And then when this happens, it starts to irritate what they call like an endothelial lining of your blood vessels. And we are in our blood vessels have smooth muscle. When you start to irritate the smooth lining of the muscle, it clamps down by making the pipe smaller in a fixed system. And when that happens, pressure goes up. But then what happens when you go to the doctors and you have, again, 90% of us, we have this idiopathic high blood pressure. They want to put you on beta blockers, calcium channel blockers, all this other stuff. And you can just look up the side effects of all this and nothing good comes out of it. Where this could be as simple as something taken as a B6, a B12 methylcobalamin, or the methylating, which is the methylating form of B12. So doing a couple of those will go a long way. TMC is another good supplement, trimethylglycine, and a good, like I said before, a good quality B complex and methylfolate that'll clear a lot of it up. And I wanted to kind of talk about this too because I know you had a history of high blood pressure. So I'm not saying it for this gene. It's not as popular as the MTHFR gene, where 44% of people have it, but a good portion of people do have this gene mutation. And for you, I maybe check it out. Maybe start taking a couple of these supplements and kind of see if this makes a difference. Or you can go to your doctor and get a test for it. Yeah. And actually, I don't think you need to go to your doctor. There's a lot of like at-home tests you can do for this as well too.
Really? For the MTRR?
Yeah, this guy that I follow, he guy's awesome. I love this guy. His name is Gary Barrett, and he has something called like the 10x something. And what I like about him, he doesn't really. I mean, everyone's trying to make money, but he teaches, I think, like 5 or 6 gene mutation. He has a blood test on it, and all these 3 will be in there, plus 3 more. And he talks about it being like, I think it's like $600, but he's like, listen, I don't care where you get it from. And if you want to go the free route, here, take these vitamins and see if it fixes while you're doing it. So again, you just want to take a methylated vitamin, and the difference between using a regular vitamin that uses raw materials like folic acid, which is synthesized in lab, or a methylated vitamin is night and day. Like again, we can't break this down. Like there's no point in taking a vitamin. So use the methylated forms of vitamins just to be safe.
Interesting, because this will help us with all the mutations. Really?
Yes.
Right? Okay.
Yeah. Usually, like if you like a lot of these mutations, like you're going to see a common denominator, which a lot of them need like a good methylated form or a B complex. And there's other little things in there you can sprinkle in there, like we'll talk about. One of them was like magnesium, the TMC, trimethylglycine, which is a big one.
That's interesting. Okay. So now okay, so I'm gonna check in on those supplements that you mentioned. So now tell me about the COMT. What is this? What's this thing you're talking about right here?
Yeah, so this one is a catechol-O-methyltransferase. Okay, don't ask me to spell that. All right.
Hot damn! I'm about to say like what?
Yeah, it's a big word, right? So this is highly tied to estrogen dominance, poor sugar metabolism, and poor catecholamine regulation. Again, catecholamines are your fight or flight hormones in your body. So what's interesting about this one is an estimated 20 to 30% of European Caucasians have this COMT gene variation, which limits the body's ability to remove catecholamines. Okay. So, for example, those with the COMT gene variation tend to be more neurotic. They have lower stress resiliency. And when you have this, studies have shown that you have cognitive function, dysfunction, memory issues, attention disorder issues, motivation, judgment might be low. Mm-hmm. So if you have, and also like if you, again, like we said before, like if you have this gene mutation, you're less likely to have balanced levels of estrogen in the body. Mm-hmm. So when estrogen rises and gets out of balance with other hormones, you start to retain water, especially in the interstitial space, which is between the blood vessels and the cells. And then you ever notice, like I notice a lot with like women, they have this like estrogen band almost around their waist. Like they can be lean all over, but they have this like almost like this like band, almost like this tube right below their belly button. And this is a place where estrogen binds to water in this interstitial place, and it's very difficult to get rid of. So again, like people are probably wondering, like, yeah, why would this gene cause you to retain water in your waistline? It's because it impairs the body's ability to get rid of estrogen. So when you can't get rid of estrogen, your body is naturally going to want to hold on to more water. So a great thing you can do is you can supplement things to get estrogen back into balance without using any kind of hormone replacements. You can use something called DIM, diazolamethane. That's probably one of my favorite estrogen blockers. You can see that you can get this in a lot of cruciferous vegetables, like especially broccoli has this in there. Mm-hmm. You can supplement methionine or a B complex, especially B2, B6, 9, 12, and magnesium. And this helps this genetic deficiency to supply the raw materials it needs. Again, use these in a methylated form. Okay.
So the methylated, the methylated form is really the way to go, though, because even from what I'm saying, from what I'm hearing you say, is most people have one of these mutations.
I would say at least, man, probably everything I'm reading, at least 55 to 60% of people have these, and if not, maybe have two of them.
And so what I was hearing you say, I just want to make sure I get to the root of it. I'm understanding the root of this. Like a lot of this can come from what we're putting in our bodies that are preventing our bodies from really getting the nutrients. From getting the nutrients that it needs. Is that right?
Yeah, I wouldn't say like your body just can't break it down. So when you're like, again, going back to like the MTHFR, if you're putting folic acid in your body, first of all, it's not a nutrient, it's a lab grown, and it's a chemical. So if you take, you're eating Pop-Tarts and cereals and bagels and pasta that has enriched flour or fortified rich ingredients in there, you have a 44% chance that your body's not breaking it down and using it. And again, if you're not using it, you're holding on to too much of it. It can't get supported into other things that your body needs. And that's when all these issues start to happen. Like your kids start acting up, or you start having more anxiety because you can't break down catecholamines in your body. Or you start having like, people go to the doctor and be like, oh, I don't understand why I have non-fatty alcoholic liver disease,
Interesting.
There's a lot going on. I recommend look into like, again, I'm a huge fan of Gary Barrett. I think he's an amazing guy. Really, it seems like a really good dude. He was on Joe Rogan a little while ago. He made national headlines for like helping Dana White out with his health and everything like that.
Oh, I know this guy that you're talking about. I know. Okay, yes. Okay, I know
Yeah.
who you're talking about, man.
And yeah, he seems like a really good dude, and really, and what I like about him, he's I'm sure not, I wouldn't say a pioneer in his field, but he's like one of the major guys out there that's pushing these types of blood tests. Because I believe that like most of our blood tests that we get from our doctors, like, yeah, it's like, or whatever, it's like, it's very like archaic almost in a way. It's like
Yeah,
the same thing. It's like like cholesterol, like when you just like, again, it's kind of like a lot of the stuff is like, yeah, okay, then what, and
right.
they just want to throw you on medication, instead of, hey, let's figure out other kind of stuff on why you're feeling like that. Like, so I mean, like a lot of us, we go to the doctors, right? And they're like, the doctor's like, all right, so why are you here? It's like, oh man, I just feel like crap. Well, you know what? All your blood tests came back normal. Yeah, it must be in your head, or we don't know what's going on. Come
Right.
back in 6 months or a year and we'll see what happens. And they go and they feel worse and worse and worse. Or it can be as simple as something, hey, you might have one of these gene mutations. Like, again, like I mentioned before, probably 55 to 60% of us, we have something like this.
Yeah.
And we just feel off, you know but we just get kind of like dismissed, like, our medical system is like a revolving door. All right, next. All right, I spend 7 minutes with you, let's get out of here. It's like,
Man, listen, it's messed up, and that's why I'm appreciating why we're doing this though, because the it's how we once we change the way we look at things, the way we look at things change. Or like, no, it's like, once we change the way we look at things, what we look at changes, right?
yes,
So if we're looking at these blood tests that our doctors are giving us, which is like, hey, they're showing something specific, right? Chances are they're going to show something that's most likely going to put you on some sort of medication, when in reality, like, we get to, especially when it comes to our health and well-being, we get to push back and ask for more, which is what I'm hearing you say, Brian. Like, this is where, when we're having these blood tests, we want to ask for some of these additional blood tests to track these mutations, even if it's
yeah,
just like, your doctor can look at you crazy, and that's fine and dandy, and it's really for you to know, because 60% is a good amount of our population. If it was like 10%,
yeah,
but like 60%, shit. Even if it was
yeah,
20, I'd be like, all right, whatever. But
yeah,
60%, that's a lot of people. So take the extra test, man.
yeah. And I understand this is not the sexiest, most interesting topic out there, but our
What?
goal,
What do you mean?
but our goal, your Paul and I, is like to give you a bunch of ammo, whether you use it or not. We want you to be armed with your health. We want you to know things that I wouldn't say I mean, like, yeah, your doctor doesn't really understand or wouldn't know, or you wouldn't know where to find out. So our goal is to give you as much ammunition as you possibly can. What you do with that is totally on you. Again, not the sexiest topic, but I found it awesome learning more about this stuff in the past like few weeks. I did learn about a lot of this stuff, like the MTHFR gene, back in like 2008 when I was at a Charles Poliquin conference, and I fell in love with it. I was like, oh, this is all. I deep dove into it. The COMT one, I didn't really know too much about until maybe like 2 or 3 weeks ago when I started researching this and following Gary Barrett. I was like, holy shit, okay, it's like all about estrogen. I like it. I like it.
Yeah. There
You
you
learn
go.
things, man. Yeah, to me, I'm like a big nerd, man. I'm like diving into this. I'm like, this is great. Yeah,
I was like, I'm gonna be here every night.
yeah,
Listen, I think it's important though, and that's why I appreciate that when you go into your research, because we all elevate with the wisdom and knowledge that you're talking about. And like, I mean, I hear what you're saying about, sure, it's not like this sexy topic, and at the same time, like, I think it's time for us to get out of that bullshit. Fuck, excuse my language. We get out of that bullshit. Wow, I just did it. I'm like, excuse my language as I curse again. We get out of this mindset of thinking everything's got to be sexy. Everything's
yeah,
got to be flashy, because chances are, like, okay, you want flashy, like, keep freaking ignoring the signs that your body's giving you, and then you come with some flashy news that chances are you could not make it from.
Yeah.
So let's get out of this mindset of that it's gotta be flashy, it's gotta be the latest trend or the latest buzzword that I'm gonna look at and doctor, what about this? No, this is about your freaking health, man. This is
Yeah.
about your body, like understanding that there's mutations happening in your body where your body is starving and it has no way, or it lost its way of getting its nutrients and getting what it needs to survive and thrive. That's a freaking problem. It's a
Beautifully
problem.
said, man.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. I was paying attention the whole time while you wanna B. That's how I can tell you digging it because you're like, so this will happen like when you do that, and then it's like here, and then when you go here, and then this happens in this gene, and then and I'm like, oh, Chuck, it may take me like 20 minutes, but I will get it.
Yeah, like I said, man, you were making me work, man. I felt like I had flashbacks from like high school where teachers like, well, can you explain a little further? Stand up in front of the class and explain it in a different way.
Yeah, bro, you were sweating like you were on a treadmill, bro, doing some cardio, bro. On a, like
if I can't explain it, I don't understand it, you know. So
listen. Well, I think it's important because again, because it's people are like, well, what is this flashy thing? Blah blah blah. Mm-hmm. Listen, I think it's important to really like. I'm glad that we have an understanding and that we're getting to understanding because I want people to get to understand this. And sometimes people, if they think they could never understand it, they'll fail to listen to it. So people, just stick with it, man. Like this is all important. It all will make sense in the end. Trust the process. Listen, trust the process, damn it. Get your freaking gene mutation blood test. Put you in a headlock. So listen, so bless up everybody. So Brian, what I was about to call you Francis because I was thinking about putting a headlock in, like how he's always talking about stuff like that. So anything like because you brought some tip top stuff today, man. So is there anything that you can think of that you would want like a takeaway or something to highlight based on what you already said that you want the people to come away with?
Yeah, I would say if you're not feeling like if you're not feeling 100% or you're not feeling optimal, and no matter what you're doing, nothing is working, don't just accept it as, hey, this is the new norm. If you want to go down the route where you pay for these tests and it's going to cost you a couple $100s, more power to you. If you want to go the less expensive route and get some methylfolated or methyl vitamins, I guarantee you're going to feel better if you do have this gene mutation. So empower yourself a little bit, put better food in your body, get rid of all like any kind of folic acid. I mean, folic acid is trash anyway. It's not even real. It's a synthetic form of folate. Get rid of it. Anything that says enriched or fortified, just throw it in the trash can where it belongs, and don't feed it to your kids. And yeah, just go down that route. If you don't want to do the blood test or you don't want to get the gene mutation test, try a good quality methylated vitamin. If you need help researching it, just drop a comment on the bottom of our page, and I'll do my research and I'll find a great one for you, and we'll go from there.
And he's going to do his research, people. Come on, man. Good and damn well he's going to do his research. He's going to find you the goody goods. Brian, thank you, brother. Thank you for doing the research on this. I learned some good stuff today, and I'm actually going to connect with my doctor about this MTHFR blood test, man, and get this thing rocking. So, bless up. Thank you for everybody that showed up. Thank you for listening. Hit the like button. Also, put in the comments like what's something that you learned from this session today. This helps us to make sure that we're doing the best job to help you get educated and be the captain of your health and well-being ship. So, bless up to you, everybody. Peace out, and we are out of here.